Hi everyone, I'm Tom and here I'm going to be telling you all about the 10 games I'm most excited about for Essen SPIEL 2018. I'm not going to be covering demos in this or expansions, just games that are releasing or hoping to be released if all goes well at the convention itself. All of the other games that I'm interested in, including those demos and expansions, because there are some I'm really interested in. There's going to be a demo of the Gloomhaven expansion there. But yeah, all of that's going to be in the massive preview video that I'm going to do. Hopefully it worked out okay. I'm trying something different, but that's happening in the future. This is now. And maybe I'm going to be a little bit more concise about the games, even though this introduction's going on a bit, isn't it? But yeah, there's a lot of games to film, so hopefully I'm going to make this and the preview a bit more brief than it has been in previous years. But anyway, on to number 10, Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. That is going to be available from Bezier Games, although it's co-published with Stonemaier Games. This is a mashup of Between Two Cities and The Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which are games that I both love. The Between Two Cities is a game where it's mainly, the main idea without a variant is you play it with quite a few people, more than two that I would usually play with. And you have a city between you and the person that you sit next to, and you have one on the other side. You are between two cities, and every turn you will have tiles. You'll have two tiles, and you need to put one in one city, one in the other, and you discuss with the people that you are sharing cities with what you're going to put in it and where you're going to place them. And yeah, it's a really interesting way of just playing a game in general. And then all of the things score in different ways. Like you want all of the shops in columns, you want all of the restaurants to have different symbols on them, and so on. The Castles of Mad King Ludwig is a game where we are trying to build all of these different crazy castles up, and every round someone is the master builder and sets the prices of all of the materials. But all of the rooms do crazy things, and in combination they will have all sorts of different ways of scoring. This game mashes them up with the kind of gameplay of Between Two Cities, that you are building a castle on either side of you, but you are having the scoring elements from Castles of Mad King Ludwig, and the theming as well, and the quirky nature of it from that game. And yeah, I couldn't be more excited about that. Well, apparently I'm 9 more things excited than this, but yeah, I'm really excited about the mashup between them, because Between Two Cities is a fantastic game, and Castles of Mad King Ludwig is one of my favorite games. It is absolutely incredible. One day we'll do a playthrough of it. Vote for it, people. But yeah, really excited about the combination of the two. Number 9 is Keyflow from R&D Games, and a new game in the Key series. I'm excited about that. But this kind of re-implements, it's a kind of a card game version of Keyflower, which is one of the most popular Key games, right? Am I just saying that out of nowhere? And it's a game that we really enjoyed. Well, I say we really enjoyed. I played it kind of early on into our gaming life, and I really liked it. And my girlfriend Rachel, who I play pretty much everything with, really didn't get on with it. Mainly the auctions in it. She really doesn't like auctions that much. And in that you are having an auction with your meeples for the tiles that are available each round, and you're trying to build up a little kingdom with all of these various actions that you can send your meeples to later, because you know they come back with meeples on them. It was a really great game, and yeah, that was kind of the thing. There were a couple of other things in there, but it was mainly the auction that held us back. Keyflow turns it into a card game and scraps the auction entirely in favor of card drafting for all of these things instead. So surely I can have the best of both worlds. I can have the things that I liked of Keyflower and take away the things that Rachel didn't like. So hopefully this will work for us really well. And going off, I won't pretend that I've played a ton of the Key games, but I've played Keyflower and Keeper, and Keeper from last year was fantastic. It was in my top 10, right? I should know that, shouldn't I? But yeah, really excited for Keyflow. Number 8 is Forum Trajanum from Stefan Feld, and it's coming out from Stronghold Games and Hooch, I think. But yeah, I'll have to cut that out. I'll have to have me saying something else if I'm wrong about that. Anyway, it's a Stefan Feld game. I love Stefan Feld games, most of them. Castles of Burgundy, Amerigo, Carpe Diem is another one that's coming out this year that's really good. He's done so many fantastic games, and yeah, he is definitely a designer that, although there have been a few of late that didn't quite work for us, still on my list of just, yeah, absolutely excited no matter what. Maybe Carpe Diem's made it a little bit lower down my list that I've already got it. I'm trying to imagine what it would be like if I didn't have some of these games already. But Forum Trajanum, I haven't got, and I flicked through the rulebook and didn't get that good an impression of what the game was about, and yet it's still here. Maybe it would be higher if things had clicked. I know it's not Trajan, maybe it's getting higher because it's got that in the name, but basically it's here because it's Stefan Feld and it looks to be a more meatier choice, a more meatier cut. Number 7, Futuropia. This is a new big box economic low luck game, or no luck game, economic game from Friedemann Friese. And I definitely admire his dedication to the colour green and the letter F. And here is no difference. This is, I mentioned this on, I should mention the podcast earlier on, shouldn't I? Podcast with Gaming Rules and Creaking Shelves. We talked about some of our choices in there, and they mentioned that. They mentioned this, and you can hear their thoughts about it instead. I'll link it in the description. Anyway, Futuropia. I really like the theme that we are building these, well, futuristic utopias. We're building up these kind of condominiums, and mainly it is on here for another quite shallow reason that, yeah, I feel like I should experience more big Friedemann Friese games. I think I've only played Power Grid and a few variations on Power Grid, but other than that, I've played some of the fast forward games. I think we played Fable Fruit once. I can't remember. But yeah, as for these big games, I always wanted to try Copycat. I don't think we ever tried Fearsome Floors. I'm just rambling here. I want to try one, and Futuropia looks right up my street. It's on the list. Number 6 is Chronicles of Crime. I did a preview for this. It was one of my most anticipated of the year. I did a Kickstarter video for it earlier in the year, I think. Anyway, this is a detective game where we are using our phones to, well, one person's phone, to scan different bits of evidence that we find, different people that we meet, different locations that we can go to, and by scanning the QR codes on all of these cards, we will be having an interactive detective adventure. You can also use your phone to survey the crime scene as well, even with some special 3D glasses that slot onto your phone to give you the full detective experience. And over multiple cases, we'll be unlocking an overarching story, and there are expansions coming out for it. There are in-app purchases that can buy you more cases. I'm really excited at trying the final thing because we played the tutorial and the first case, and I'm really excited at what the final game is gonna do. That is Chronicles of Crime. Number 5, and here, if you've heard the Gaming Rules podcast, these things might not be a surprise to you. Maybe I'll say some different things there. Number 5 is Dice Hospital from Alley Cat Games. Another one I feel like I've been banging on and on and on about. It's a game where you are building a hospital and treating dice. You are building up your hospital with these various tiles. Every round you either get a new room for your hospital or a new member of staff, and you need to balance those out as best you can, really. And you are taking in ambulances full of dice at varying threat levels, various levels of emergency, and trying your best to stop them from dying and hopefully treat them in a position that will be advantageous to you. Treat as many as you can at once to get the most points. Again, I did a Kickstarter preview for that, and I was really excited back then, and I have seen the progression of how the prototypes are coming, and couldn't be more excited at seeing the full final thing. That's Dice Hospital. Number 4 is Teotihuacan. If I try it differently every time, one of the pronunciations will be right. From NSKN Games. Again, I did a video for this a couple of months ago, a full playthrough for it that you can find on the channel. But this is a rondel game where we are trying to build up all sorts of things, mainly a beautiful tile-made pyramid in the middle of the board. But we have our various workers that are dice going around this rondel. You can move them a few spaces every turn, and it's advantageous to you to group them up in one location because you can get more powerful actions, but at the same time, it's going to cost you more cocoa to go there, and you have to cacao. You have to earn it sometimes. You have to kind of give it your turn to just earn more of it. There is a ton of variability in the game. I think almost everything in it is customizable, looks beautiful, especially as that pyramid is getting built. There is so much depth to the game. It is utterly fantastic. And yeah, was it my number 1 of the UK Games Expo? I don't know. But it's absolutely making it onto my... I'm not going to say that. That's a surprise for later in the year, because maybe it's not true. But it's an absolutely fantastic game. You can hear me drone on and on and on about it in my full video for that and first impressions that I did. But yeah, definitely check out Teotihuacan. Yeah, I couldn't replicate the pronunciation. Number 3 is Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr from Hub Games. And this is a cooperative game where a man called Billy Kerr has had a heart attack and he is in hospital, kind of coming to the end of his life. And we play as the team of nurses that is doing two things really, trying to keep him alive, doing the medical care, and also doing palliative care to try and take care of him as a person, his emotional needs. And he has got a lot of, he's had a troubled life. It said in the title, pay attention. He's had a troubled life and he is keen to, well, he isn't very keen to get it off his chest sometimes. We're trying to get him to get his secrets off his chest and trying to piece together the puzzle of his life, kind of literally in a big collage that we are making to satisfy the goals of different scenarios and also, unlock the story for ourselves. Try and figure out what is going on with Billy. What has he been through? And I played the first scenario of this at the UK Games Expo, the full thing, and I was really, really impressed by it. It's something that I was excited for already, because I feel like a broken record if you've seen my other things, but I'll try and keep this to the people that have only ever seen this, right? Because, yeah, I'll just say the same things. But as many people have said, it's something that's, while, like, I'm not saying that, oh, this is a completely new gameplay mechanism or anything like that, the actual setting of the game and the actual format and the kind of drama and the weight that is given to the actual story of it is something that's really impressive and really different, and I think that can really, really help take board games into a different space. Not all of board games, don't worry, all of these aren't going anywhere, but there can be a new, a new space carved out for things that really focus on narrative in different ways. And there are other games that have gone like that, that are trying to do narrative in different ways. The detective games, for example, are trying to do their different things with it. But I think for something that could actually be really affecting and really emotional, not that no board games have ever been emotional, but for something that is really trying to get you invested in a person and learn the story of their lives and tug on your heartstrings a bit, I am really, really interested, especially after playing that first scenario. I'm really interested in seeing where it goes from there. And yeah, and what this leads to in future games, and people that hopefully this is fantastic and people take their cues from it and use it as an influence in their designs as well. But that is Holding On: The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr. Number 2 is Reykholt, which is from Uwe Rosenberg, master of the farms, and he's back on farms here. This is, it's a game about tourism as well, farming and tourism in Iceland, which I learned on the podcast. Uwe Rosenberg, if you're not familiar, is the designer of such kind of legendary Euro games such as Agricola and Le Havre and A Feast for Odin and Caverna. Tons and tons and tons of games. And Patchwork and all of the tile-laying games, Cottage Garden, Indian Summer. So many fantastic games. And yeah, he's kind of, for me, Agricola was my first big introduction, not to board games in general. We've been playing for a little while before I got into that. But Agricola was the first kind of proper medium weight Euro that we ever played before we knew what that was. And yeah, that's kind of synonymous to me, not just the game itself, but Clemens Franz artwork and those kind of components and things really say Europe, really say board games to me anyway, specific to my experience. I know that, all of this is. But yeah, while this isn't particularly that, it's a farming game by Uwe Rosenberg, and I'm really, really excited by it, particularly because things that I've read about the game keep mentioning it being a streamlined version of, or uses elements of, an earlier game of Uwe Rosenberg's called At the Gates of Loyang, which I did a playthrough for quite recently, actually. And it's an absolutely fantastic game, and anything that is similar to that, I'm excited about. Anything new from Uwe Rosenberg, even though they don't always, I'm not saying that 100% of the time we love them, but I am absolutely always willing to try them. And this has got tomato meeples shaped like hearts, so surely you're in now, right? That is Reykholt from Frosted Games and Renegade Games, who are doing the English version, because it's very text heavy. Don't know why I added that. Next game. And number 1 is Underwater Cities from Delicious Games, designed by Vladimir Suchý. I hope I'm getting closer with this. I'm trying. Who is the designer of games like Shipyard, Last Will, The Prodigal's Club, Pulsar 2849, 20th Century, many, many fantastic games. And in this game, we are building up our own individual underwater network of cities. We're trying to build these little plastic domes and tunnels for them and various buildings that will hopefully provide these people with life under the sea. And we are doing it by kind of worker placement on the board. Action selection. We have 3 tokens. Each turn we will put our token on an action that's available, and we will also play a card. We have hands of cards. There are 3 colours of action, there are 3 colours of cards. Green actions, not very good. Green cards, fantastic. On the other hand, orange actions, brilliant. Orange cards, not so good. And the combination of playing these 2 things together leads to a fantastic decision space between, you know, what you want and what you need, what actions are available and what cards will go with that. Do I take this action that I desperately need and not play a card at all? Am I building my engine enough? Am I getting enough production at the end of the round? Am I going to have enough cities? Am I racing for the government contracts enough because there's a few cards out there that we're all racing for? Are these special cards that are all out on display teasing me? Should I grab one of those? Is the card art distracting me because it's really nice? It's just a fantastic game, and I feel like I should be saying more about it right now. I did a playthrough for this last week. It's definitely, it was on my list anyway, and having played it a few times now, I am so impressed by it, and I've gone on and on and on about it in its own first impressions video and on the Gaming Rules podcast, and here now as well. But you can see that in action, and it was a close to final prototype, I think. I'm really excited to see the full final thing. But just from the few games that we've had of it so far, I've been really impressed with it. And yeah, I've definitely been a fan of Vladimir's games in the past, particularly Shipyard, that I really, really like to mention almost every single video that I can kind of shoehorn it in. There'll be a playthrough coming for it one day. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, all the others that I mentioned as well, apart from 20th Century, which we haven't tried because it's more than 2 players, right? Maybe there's a variant. I should look into that more. Anyway, Underwater Cities is absolutely worth a look. All of these games are, though. I think everything that I mentioned in the massive preview video is worth a look. That's why I'm saying it to you. But Underwater Cities, above all, I think is going to be a really, well, I don't know if it's going to be a really big hit, but it should be a really big hit. And I think you should definitely check it out if you're going to Essen, or if it comes into your local gaming shop, which hopefully it will do because it will be bought by them. Anyway, the playthrough is there, though, for a lot of these games, and hopefully, if I haven't done one yet, I will hopefully be able to pick up these games at Essen and do playthroughs for them afterwards. That's what this channel's about, really. If you would like to see me talk about loads more games, a frightening amount more games, then you can click on the preview video. You can request games for me to play through. Which games have I missed off the preview and the top 10? Comment them below because, you know, I'm going to be in Essen SPIEL next week. And yeah, let me know what you think I should go and check out, go and try and play, and go and have a chat with people about. Anyway, I need to go and prepare for it, really. There's all of these other games to film before then. See you later.